Hey guys, it's Supa here. So today we have a new legendary hero announced called TATRON. And you can see over here, he kind of looks like Burns if you know which character that is. You can take a look in the hero gallery for yourself. And it's a Holy Light Parliament character, attack type, and green mark. So let's take a look at what he does together. So first of all, basic attack. Radiant Slash deals 2 stages of 180% attack bleed damage to a single enemy, then steals 20% of the target's attack, capping at 100% of Tatron's initial attack, and each target can be stolen once, and Tatron gains 100% of the stolen attribute for 2 turns. So really straightforward, just some bleed damage, and steals quite a bit of attack considering that it can be up to 100%. So let's say you build Tatron with maybe like 70%, 70,000 attack, then he can steal up to an additional 70,000, which is really significant. Special 2, Radiant Bounce grants attack up to all allies for 2 turns. Afterwards, deals 190% attack bleed damage to all enemies with 100% chance to inflict bleed. Then removes 1 layer of buffs from each enemy. So yeah, pretty straightforward once again, but looks to be very good. Attack up 2 is always nice, especially for a attack related character. Then deals bleed damage to all enemies, which is good. I was afraid after seeing the basic attack that this was going to be a single target character. And has a 100% chance to inflict bleed, so this will be very useful for any area of content where you do want to inflict the bleed effect. Things like dungeons, things like Demon Conquest boss Chardonnay, and other areas of content like that. And also removes 1 layer of buff from each enemy. I mean, this is a decent effect. There are many characters which can do something like this, but still very strong. Next, Light's Arrival. Immune to turn meter reduction, which is really good. If Tatron deals damage while or when launching basic attacks or casting active skills, which is gonna just basically be every single time, right? He will record 60% of the damage value and deduct HP by the same amount of the recorded value from the target at the end of the basic attack and active skill. So this honestly just sounds to me like it's going to be a flat damage multiplier, because it's just when he deals damage, he records 60% of it and then deals it. So it's just basically a 60% damage buff to whatever he already does, right? I mean, that's the simplest way I can interpret this as. And obviously that is going to be extremely strong. This means we also have a brand new damage recorder alongside Ans and Apsara, and I would imagine if you can combo him with those 2 characters, the amount of damage recorder is going to be very high. Next, Radiant Wall, his special 4, grants all allies Resolute 2, another very strong effect. Afterwards, deals 4 stages of bleed damage to all enemies, and each stage has a chance or 100% chance to inflict bleed for 2 turns, pretty standard. And the 4th stage has a 100% chance to inflict heavy bleed for 2 turns. So yeah, once again, very strong. Resolute 2 obviously is a very amazing effect, which is skill damage plus 40%. And then guaranteed bleed once again. I personally am a very big fan of skills which guarantee inflicting the bleed effect. And then the 4th stage, inflicts heavy bleed too. This isn't the easiest buff to come by, I would say. I mean, primarily it's obtained from Chardonnay or Oliver, but you may not always be running Chardonnay and Oliver with characters like your Lance, for example, because in things like PvP, if you choose to use Lance, I don't really see people using Chardonnay or Oliver with him. But when it comes to PvE, obviously, then getting heavy bleed too is much easier, but still a very nice effect to have. And now for its exclusives, obviously this is probably gonna be the things which make or break this character, so let's take a look. Level 1. At the beginning of Tatron's turns, he cleanses all control effects from self and gains stealth for 1 turn. So basically just control immunity, which is insanely strong. Then Tatron increases self-effect hit by 50% of self-initial mastery, capping at 100% effect hit, which means you do want to build him with 200% mastery. He's not going to be the easiest character to build, since it seems like we need both very high attack for his attribute steal and also very high mastery to give himself effect hit. That being said, I don't really see why he needs the effect hit, because at least based on what I've seen, all his skills are 100% chance of landing, right? So I'm not too sure why the effect hit is really needed, unless this 100% chance isn't the same as saying like it's guaranteed, but rather this is influenced by effect res, then I guess that would matter a bit more. But yeah, similar to Giselle in the sense that he converts mastery to effect hit. And lastly, increases Tatron's damage dealt to bosses to 300% of the original. Obviously, I mean 300% boss damage, that's going to be really strong. So even his exclusive 1 is looking really good already. Next, exclusive 2. After Radiant Bounce is cast, Tatron acts for 1 extra turn, and Radiant Bounce is his special 2 effect over here. Then, after Radiant Wall deals damage, which is his special 4, additionally triggers bleed effect once up to 6 layers can be triggered. So very nice. This will be useful for areas of content where you are required to trigger bleed effects. So one thing which comes to mind immediately for me is the Guild Boss 7 Ultimate Challenge 8, I believe, where you need lots of very strong bleed characters. Things like Hisaro and Lucia is actually used to trigger bleed, and Vasily as well. So this is going to be extremely strong for that area of content, which is pretty niche, but I mean just for his damage as well, this is going to be really good. And lastly, exclusive 3. At the beginning of each wave, for every ally with the HP deduction tag deployed, permanently reduces all enemy speed by 40% and increases turn meter by 6%. So this is actually for every one ally, which means that he can reduce enemy speed up to 40 times 5, I guess, so up to 200, and increases Tatron's turn meter by 6 times 5, which is 30%. So very strong effect. I'm not too sure if he's going to find a slot in the current PvP HP deduction team, which runs something like Murongjing, Kalana, Apsara, Hanya, and Ans. I'm not really sure if he will be able to replace anyone there, but regardless, since this isn't like a requirement where it says like if you run a whole HP deduction team, this means there's quite a lot of flexibility. It's just that it will affect the strength of this effect over here. So next, okay, so this is the bonus effect if you run a full HP deduction team. If 5 allies with the HP deduction tag are deployed, damage dealt by Tatron will ignore damage immunity. Okay, pretty strong. This will bypass, I guess, perhaps Boris, maybe? This will definitely bypass things like Talis and Nordek at minimum, which is going to be very good. And all allies' turn meters will be increased by 15%, so yeah, just a nice additional effect. Lastly, when an ally inflicts bleed, Tatron gains 1 layer of Radiance, which increases his bleed damage by 30% up to 40 layers, which means he gets a free 120% bleed damage up, which is just insane. And this effect can be triggered up to 2 times in any turn. So, okay, I mean, this is looking like a really, really strong character. Obviously, I'm kind of thinking of Lance, and I'm trying to decide for myself whether I think he's going to be stronger than Lance. And I mean, I wouldn't really be surprised if he is, right? Especially in PvE with this 300% boss damage increase. I think that's going to be really, really significant. And I mean, he just looks like a insane like stat monster, right? With the amount of bleed damage up he gets, it's going to be insane. His attribute steal is going to give him so much attack. And then you're also going to be building a lot of mastery on him, which also gives effect hit. So basically, he's going to have really high of every stat. So yeah, he's looking like a really good character. I find this to be pretty interesting because last year after the anniversary we got Lance, and similarly this year after the anniversary we are getting this character who seems to be power creeping Lance. Of course, we'll need to do some testing to figure it out. But yeah, very, very promising character, and I think he's going to be very strong. My main interest, I guess, without a doubt, he's going to be strong in PvE content. The thing I'm most looking forward to is to see where, if at all, if he finds a slot in PvP teams, because he definitely is going to have the attribute steal tag first of all, and secondly, on his exclusives, he has synergy with HP deduction, which means that he technically could find a spot in either team. So yeah, we'll have to keep a lookout and pay attention once he releases to see where people start using him. So yeah, that's all we have for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.